Right, back live tonight, you're in Focus. ANC in KwaZulu-Natal says it's receiving a flurry of emails and WhatsApp messages from residents complaining about sexual offences allegedly committed by the mayor of the Zululand District Municipality. At the same time, the party says the municipality doesn't have a whistleblower policy as prescribed by the law. For more on this, we are now joined by KwaZulu-Natal ANC spokesperson Mafika Mndebele. Mafika, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. When did you start receiving these messages?
Good evening, my brother. Firstly, let us wish all, as we wrap a Women's Month, all the women of the country, and in particular those of province, a happy Women's Month. The ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, if you will be able to check our track record for some time, we have been indicating not only about Tula Sizwe, but about different mayors. But a strange thing happened about 4 days ago, where we receive different emails. At first, we thought these were general emails and maybe these were political wish hunt toward the good reverend, and we ignored them up until we reach a stage where these email send then begin to involve certain names and begin to call for an independent tribunal. And then the African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal then became concerned. Became concerned in particular because we then knew that what kind of a political party that we are dealing with, because not long ago in an IFP we have dealt with about 3, if not 5 cases that involve the abuse, sexual abuse of female, and then we began to take this particular matter serious.
So you're saying some of these ladies have taken the courage, have mustered the courage to come forward, or at least this one, to detail some of the shocking sexual scandals involving the mayor. Where did these take place?
Look, they have used WhatsApp, and then they were able to then send us private letters. What we applaud them of, if you listen to certain, for example, there is one disturbing letter where one female narrates a story of how she's married and how she was forced to sleep with the honorable reverend, and then how the wife of the reverend ultimately found out, and then she was then blackmailed because she thought she was saving a job. She was then blackmailed to leave the very same job. What is our view as the ANC? The ANC is of the view that, look, this might be allegation, but what we cannot take for granted, given the history of our country, given the history of the oppression of women, is to just ignore this. I think the ANC will be neglecting its duty. And as a leader of society, the ANC have then, through the provincial secretary, took about 2 necessary steps. One, we have wrote to Chapter 9 institution. Secondly, we have then decided to write to the ANC Women's League and ask them to take over this campaign. But thirdly, and most importantly, we have written to both the Premier and the MEC of COGTA, so that they be, because these women are not saying prosecute, get rid of the mayor. They are simply saying, give us what you call an independent tribunal, and many more women are going to come forward. They do not end there. They are able in detail to say, this particular MM, this particular director of this particular department, they are also in cahoots with the mayor to oppress us. But if you give us an independent tribunal and you assure our independent or our privacy, we will be able to speak out. And we believe as an African National Congress, this is a particular fair demand. And we would like to make a plea to the Honorable Mayor of Zululand that as a good reference, if he has nothing to hide, I think he must just accede to this particular demand, allow to an independent tribunal, and also beyond that, render or give us, that tribunal his particular cell phone number, because we have been tipped that some of these shenanigans were done using his personal cell phone, and then we believe lots of information might come out of that particular cell phone.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say, I mean, things like that would now require law enforcement agencies to actually come into play here to be able to access that kind of data and that kind of information? Are the victims at this point not prepared to open an official case against the district mayor?
Victims are breadwinners. Victims are workers of the municipality. In a country where we have a lot of unemployment, and the mayor, we are saying is an ANC, the onus is upon the mayor to then say, look, I'm innocent, and then avail all of that into an independent, what you call tribunal, that will exonerate the mayor. Because even if he does this, the dark cloud will remain hanging over his head. We know IFP previously have played this particular trick where they were what you call able to pronounce this in public and does something differently. They've done that in Alfred Dumba municipality. They've done it in Guatuguza. They've done it in Zumbe. But this time around, we are calling for the IFP, including Reverend Tula Sizwe, to come clean and say, look, these are just allegations to smear my name. I'm availing this particular information. I can tell you as Mafika Mndebele, if there can be any allegation about me, be it of corruption, be it of sexual offense, be it of anything, I'll be able to render myself to the institution, to law enforcement agency, or any other tribunal determined by the state, so that I clean my name. And that's what the African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal is calling the mayor of Zululand to do.
And have you followed the official channels to alert the mayor of these allegations for him to respond to?
Definitely. What we have done, we have formally written to Chapter 9 institution, we have formally written to the Women's League, we have formally written to the Office of the Premier Special Project on Gender issues, and we have also written to the MEC, in particular the MEC of Cogta. We have deliberately not written to the mayor. Look, as the African National Congress, we say to the mayor, the onus is upon him as a public figure, as a good reverence, to clean his name, come out clean, and then be able to render all information. In particular, we want him to render his personal cell phone, which we believe, and from our tip-off and from the number of victims that we have had discussion with, he was using it to do all these shenanigans.
So, I mean, if we are to follow what the law prescribes, wouldn't it be that he who alleges must be the one who brings the proof?
Look, in what you call in government, first and foremost, our institution should be able to have what you call a place for whistleblowers where they will be able to put information. But two, these ones are not saying these women are not saying Tula Sizwe must prove himself innocent. They are only calling for an independent tribunal. And in that tribunal, in that independent tribunal, they are saying we are going to avail shocking information. And this shocking information involve some of women who are married. Some of these women come from very respectable families. And they are saying all of this will be availed as long as we are assured an independent tribunal, as long as our privacy is assured, but as long as we are guaranteed our safety. And remember, they are raising this thing in KwaZulu-Natal, where we have an atmosphere of a high number of political-related killings. And the demand that they are making, in our view, it's quite fairly if you understand the terrain upon which we operate.
So what are you suggesting around the establishment of a whistleblower line where people can be able to raise these issues?
Look, we are saying all institutions should be able to have a credible whistleblower line. But in this case, in this specific case, our view as the African National Congress is that the MEC of Cogta should be able, this is the only way to guarantee the safety and the privacy of the information should be able to take up this particular matter, investigate and report back. But before he does that, as required by the law, we believe the MEC should write to the Speaker of Zululand, and we challenge the IFP to concur with that particular what you call writing, so that so that they also cleanse themselves. Look, if they have nothing to hide, they must just agree with this independent tribunal, and then we must be able to test all of these matters. And then if indeed the Reverend is innocent, but his history, I must say, speak volume and speak contrarily to him as a reverend, because you'll remember that in less than a few months ago, when Nongoma municipality, there was a motion of no confidence in an IFP-led municipality. He was the one who led what you call the so-called Zulu army outside and wanting to what you call disturb the democratic processes. And you will remember, he's one of the leading figures who always speak the language that fuel violence in our province. So his conduct is ungodly, but he remains to call himself a reverend. It's not ours to judge, it's for God to judge. But all we are calling for him now is to comply, agree to independent tribunal, and then render his particular cell phone, so that that particular process cleans him. But we doubt he will come out innocent of this process.
All right, Mafika Mndebele, appreciate your time and for speaking to us this evening. That was Mafika Mndebele, who speaks for the KwaZulu-Natal ANC. Newzroom Afrika will extend a right of reply to the accused mayor to give his side of the story.